Hi everyone, you're welcome to the channel. This is Yuglo Fashion. Though it's been a while, but we are back and better now. And in today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I made this kimono top with drawstring and also this palazzo pants. So please stay tuned and enjoy the tutorial. It's well detailed and also beginner friendly. I used mirror mikado of 1.5 yards for the palazzo trouser. So it has double face, so you can use either of the two, but I use the shining part of it. So this is scuba net. You can see this side is looking like net, while the other side is looking like regular scuba. And I used 2.5 for the top. So let's get down to the business. First of all, I folded the fabric into two and I measured from shoulder to nail length. I cut the remaining out. Then I later folded it back into 4. On my right side, one side is open while the other one is on fold, while on the left side the two sides are on fold. Then I placed my tape and I measured the distance of the shoulder, which is 15 divided by 2, and after marking the 15 divided by 2, I marked another 5 inches for the pleat. It has shoulder pleats, and after that I came back to the neckline. I marked the net width of 3 inches and the length is 1 inch, so I marked it together. You know, I see how 4 folds there, so this measurement is for the back. Next, I proceed to my left hand side to mark the shoulder slope. So I marked 2 inches for the shoulder slope, then connect it back to the neckline. I trimmed it off. You can see I've trimmed out the part that I said I will be pleating, but it doesn't really matter because I can still get it back. Then I opened up the 2 folds that I have there on my left hand side, and I proceed to re-notch the pleats. Next, I separated the front from the back. Then I proceed to reshape the neckline of the front. First of all, I marked 1.5 inch right from the neckline down to the hem, and I cut it off. So, and I later placed the tape back on the neckline again. I measured 5 inch, then I just slant it back to the middle and cut it off. So that's for the neckline. So I placed the front and the back on each other and I pinned the shoulders and proceed to stitch the two together. Next, I placed the tape on the shoulder and I measured 18 inches. So this is for the shoulder pleat. That's where it will end. So sorry, I had to mark on the right side of my fabric, though I'll still clean it up. Then I proceed to pin and stitch the shoulder darts, and you can see how it looks like. Next, I folded it into two and I measured from the midpoint of the back neckline down to the hem of the front, and I proceed to cut it out. The length, I cut it out on the remaining fabric. So I used 5 inches for the width, and the length is what I measured from the back neckline to the front hem. So this is where the opening of the neckline will end, and the opening at the hem too will end here. So I just use my eye hip measurement to indicate where the opening and the hem will end. I folded the neckline again into two and I measure from the back to where I want the opening to end, and also where the hem opening also will end. So I notch everything on this cape. Then I proceed to pin. You know, I've already notched it, so I pin the part that I will stitch, the part that will not be open. Next, I turn it to the right side and I stitch the edges together. You can see what it looks like now. I've also ironed it. So the next thing to do now is to stitch it to the main bodies of the kimono top. So I picked the back neckline, the middle of the back neckline. I pinned it together. I pinned the two of them together. Then I stitch it all around. So this is what it looks like after stitching. And I've also reshaped the arm side. I'm sorry I didn't record how I cut that, but it's very easy, just the usual way you cut your arm hole. Next, I measure from the shoulder to where the drawstring will start from. So I measured it up to my eye hip point, which is 21 inches, and I chalked that and also notched that part. So that's where the stitch will stop while stitching the bodies, that is the front and back bodies together. So then I proceed to pin the front and back bodies together, and I just stitch like ½ inch at the sides. You know it's not going to be fitted, so I don't need to take my body's measurements here. All I need is just to stitch like ½ inch at the sides. So I proceed to pin and I stitch that. So this is the outcome. This is what it looks like now. But before you do the drawstring side, you have to stitch the hem. So I folded the hem twice. Sorry, I've added allowance to my measurement. You know, I said it was my new length, so I added folding allowance, the hem allowance. I added like 1 inch. So please don't be confused. I forgot to mention that while cutting it. So then you proceed to fold the drawstring side like this. Then after stitching on it, you can proceed to fixing your rope. So I have videos on how to make the rope. It's very easy. Just fold it on each other. You can see I left this side open. I will stitch on it after fixing the rope. So this is how to go about it. So it's very easy. Just insert it from this point, and when it comes out, you can draw it anyhow you want. So that's for the top, and I ended up fixing the sleeve, though I didn't show that part, but I fixed sleeve to it. Now that we are done with the kimono top, next is the palazzo. So from the starting point, I measured 8 inches. I determined the hip on 8 inches. So the starting point is the waistline, and I determined the crouch on 10 inches. It's very easy to determine the crouch. Just divide your hip by 4. And for the thigh, I determined it on 13 inches. So from my waist to the thigh is 13 inches. And I proceed to mark everything out. I have video on how to take all the necessary measurements in trouser, so you can just check it out. And after that, I proceed to mark ½ inch at this edge here. So I marked the ½ inch from the waistline down to the hem, and I wrote it out. The length I used for the palazzo trouser is 38, and I added 2 inches for hem, and I labeled everything accordingly: waist, hip, crouch, thigh. Next is to measure the circumference of the hip. So like I said, my hip circumference is 40, divided by 4 will give 10. So I measured the 10, starting from the ½ inch allowance I left. So that was where I started it from. So I marked the 10 inches right from the waistline down to the crotch. That's the measurement of the hip. So I used the measurement of the hip at the waistline, hip line, and at the crotch level. You will understand as we proceed in this tutorial. Next, from the crouch, I extended it with 2 inches extra, and at the waistline, you know, it was the hip measurement I used. So I measured from that hip measurement. I measured the circumference of the waist, and I connected it back to the hip. Next is the thigh, and the circumference of my thigh is 23 inches divided by 2 will give 11.5. So I marked the 11.5 and connected it back to the crouch level, and I maintained the same measurement right from that side down to the hem. Next, I added ½ inch allowance to the measurement I chalked. So I started the allowance right from the waistline down to the hem as well. So that was why I added ½ inch at the side initially. So I proceed to connect the lines together, then I cut out the front. So you will notice I did not add any zipper allowance to the front. That's because I added the zipper to the side. So I used invisible zip and I fixed it at the side. That was why I did not bother to add any zipper allowance. And for the back, I added 1 inch up and also 2 inches at the side. So I proceed to cut everything out on my fabric. So this is it. And after cutting, I started stitching. So I stitched the back and back together, and also the front and front together at the middle, and placed the two on each other and stitch the inseam. Next is the side, and I proceed to pin also and stitch the side. So this is the part that I said I'll be fixing the zipper. So I left like 7 inches open. So I picked the band. For the band, the width is 3.5 while the length is 32 inches. I just ensure it's a bit longer than my waistline, though it doesn't really have effect. But next, I folded in 1/2 inch on both sides. So the first side rather, I'll stitch it at the wrong side of the palazzo, and after the first stitch, I'll fold it on top again, then stitch from the right side. So if you want to know more on how to cut your pants very well, either palazzo, normal pants, you can just check the description box. I will drop the link on how to cut it there. So thank you very much for watching this video to the end. See you in my next video and remain blessed. Bye.